Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is William Morris. As most of you know, one of our graduation requirements was having two speeches. I thought I had met this requirement. I did my degree audit. Turns out I didn't meet that requirement. So our Professor Amy, she was nice enough to give me the chance to go ahead and do instead of doing the last project, write it out. She said I could do it in speech form. So I'm truly appreciative of that, Professor Amy. Thank you very much. Now let's get down to business. Today we'll be talking about what I learned in this class, what I learned from my fellow classmates, and how I'm going to use this information in the future to help me when I start my new career. When I was starting this speech, it was kind of, I didn't know where I wanted to go with it, how I wanted to say it, how I wanted to get things started or worded, or where I wanted to go with it. Well, I was looking in a textbook trying to see if something struck me or I got an idea, and I did find something. It was in the preface, and it was the philosophy of the text. And I'm going to read a couple paragraphs to you real quick. They're quick and short, and this is kind of what I based my speech off of. It says, the purpose of this book is to help students improve their ability to make ethical decisions in business by providing with a framework they can use to identify, analyze, and resolve ethical issues in business decision making. Individual values and ethics are important in this process. By studying business ethics, students begin to understand how to cope with conflicts between their personal values and those of the organization. Many ethical decisions in business are close calls. It often takes years of experience in a particular industry to know what is acceptable. We do not in this book provide ethical answers, but instead attempt to prepare students to make informed ethical decisions. First, we do not moralize by indicating what to do in a specific situation. Second, although we provide an overview or more philosophy and decision-making process, we do not describe any one philosophy or process as best or most ethical. Third, by itself, this book will not make students more ethical, nor will it tell them how to judge the ethical behavior of others. Rather, it is the goal to help students understand and use their current values and convictions in making business decisions, encourage everyone to think about the effects of their decisions on business and society. Well, the first part I wanted to talk about after reading this was that framework. We can all say that we definitely learned or gained a framework from this class by identifying unethical issues, analyzing them, and then also by resolving these issues. We started off early in the process by doing this, by going through the book. I was kind of amazed how fast we started out going through the book, a chapter a week. What did we do? We broke down issues, we broke down problems, we discussed them, and we started identifying, analyzing, and resolving them. And the biggest one that came to mind to me, and it seemed like from a lot of your guys' papers, the last papers, a big one was that the boat story. I mean, as a group, we had to decide who the survivors were. And it was always amazing, and I learned a lot from all of you just on that, how some people your thinking outside of the box truly amazed me. Just to solve a problem, the things you thought of, I never thought of. To me, I'm always one of those people that's been cut and dry. When I see it, I go, okay, this is what we have, this is what I get. It always amazed me, some of the things you guys came up with, and Amy was always like, nope, that's not what it was, nope. But it was just amazing me watching you guys identify and analyze that problem we did as a group. And another thing that I enjoyed from the philosophy of this text was talking about our personal values, how sometimes those can come in conflict between what we believe and where we're going to work, or in this case, the class. We saw that again in the boat project, where we could see different values. Where I know some people, they just could not let that baby go, which, as a parent, I was with them on board on that. But I mean, that's your values, how you value different things, and how sometimes that comes in conflict. And I had a great example of this, and this is going to go on to another point I wanted to talk about, is what I learned from my classmates. Another thing that I told you that I learned from my classmates. This is when me and my partner Jessica was working on our group project. She was phenomenal. I really enjoyed working with her, and she taught me a couple lessons, and I hope she's not too mad at me for bringing this up in the speech. But one of the things I learned from her is me and her were going back and forth on Messenger. You guys know how we have the Messenger on our thing where you could communicate with one another. Me and her was going back and forth on. It was just a commercial for Pepsi. It was on whether or not it was racist or not. I mean, it really in the thick of our project, it wasn't huge, but me and her got hung up on this commercial, and we were going back and forth on Messenger, and she was telling me her points, I was telling her my points. We were going back and forth on this issue. And the one thing that I like that she said to me, I'm going to try to read this word for word because I had to go back and look it up because I didn't want to misquote her, what she said to me. She says, where is she at? She goes, you can see we are not going to agree on this, and that is okay. And, and that seems so simple. You're like, that was just a couple words. But when I first read it, I was like, wow. I was like, she's right. I mean, I was all ready to win. I was all ready to win this messenger war that we were having and make sure, because I thought my values were maybe more important, or I don't want to say better, but the way I was going about it is I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to have her see my point of view. And, this is what it talks about the text, how, there's going to be conflicts. And me and her, right there, we had a conflict. And she was right. She said, we're not going to agree on it, but that's okay. And, and she was not only great about telling me that and teaching me that part, then she went further and she goes, you know what, I'm going to come up with a compromise. And her compromise was, since you said you wanted to focus more on the positive things, which was myself, she said, why don't you do 3 positive things? And she goes, well, she goes, I'll go and I'll dive into the negative things that we see, not so much negative, but the things the unethical things that Pepsi have come up with. And she goes, and I'll work on those. And I was truly impressed with her with that she was able to come up with that compromise. And it did teach me a lot that, sometimes my values, I don't have to try to push them on somebody. And sometimes it is better to compromise. I mean, we see that not only that's a small example. We see it all the day today on Facebook and the media and everything else. So for me, that was a very valuable lesson and something I am going to carry on with me, that my partner Jessica taught me that. The next thing on the preface that I want to jump on was the part that talks about again, our current values, and then how it said it encourages everyone to think about the effects of their decision on business and society. Now, to me, that was another thing we definitely covered. And at the end of our class, we all did our group projects. And this, again, went back to the framework where each week we took a case. I mean, we were looking at the heavy hitters in a lot of companies. We were looking at companies like Amazon, Apple, Pepsi, Starbucks, all of these things. And we were breaking them down. We were analyzing, seeing some of the things that maybe they had done wrong that were considered unethical. And we analyzed it, and then we resolved it and come up with ways maybe they could have bettered themselves, or we showed ways that they were bettering themselves. And a few examples I liked was the one I used our project where Jessica talked about the clean drinking water that Pepsi was accused of in India, not using clean drinking water, and this was making people sick. And then it seems like such a simple thing that a company would know better to say, hey, you know what, we should probably use clean water. But even Pepsi as a company, what they did, they kind of did what it said exactly in the text. They said they identified the problem, and they knew the problem is that, hey, we're not using the cleanest drinking water in our products. This could be hurtful to us, first and foremost, our product, and then second, to our consumers. So, and that's going to infect, in turn, hurt the shareholders. So you see, it goes back to what it was talking about, where you want to make sure when you think about different things, how decisions affect the business and society. So you can see how, having the dirty drinking water, that could affect the business and it could affect society because people are getting sick, and Pepsi's sales in India are not going to be doing good. Well, what did Pepsi do? Well, they analyzed this and they came up with their own solution. And I mean, and that was one of these things, and Pepsi's just one of the examples, but we see this in almost every company that we did the case study on. And I also wanted to throw in there that I thought everybody did a great job on their case studies. I learned so much. And, going off and seeing how other people think, for me, I've been in a field where sometimes it closes my opinion or my views, and just listening to how smart some of you are and some of your ideas, it really just blows my mind, quite simply. And I thoroughly enjoyed so many of your guys' discussions. You guys did an excellent job on your projects, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading them. Each week, I was actually excited, really excited, to get started. Some of the conversations we had going on, some of those were just fantastic. Well, finally, I'm going to try to sum all this up for everybody. I wanted to first talk about, I've told you some of the things that I've learned in this class and some of the lessons that you guys have taught me, and then more specifically, I talked about what my partner taught me. But I wanted to tie it together, and I've learned a great deal. And like I said, I'm going to use some of the stuff at my current job. Like, right now I'm always on the labor management committee, and that's always seems like a place where everybody likes to butt heads, and it's supposed to be a place where you come up with ideas to better your place of employment. So I want to take a lot of these lessons, maybe in more anything like I'm open to mindset that, hey, you know what? Let's just come up with ideas, solutions. Write what it says in the book. Let's identify what the problem is. Let's analyze it. Let's come up with a solution. I mean, technically, it's really that simple, but it's just getting everybody at the table to think like that. And then in my new job that I hope to be getting soon, I plan on taking all these with me, and maybe it'll show them that maybe that they see some leadership qualities in me, which I would be glad to see. That's something I would like to pursue is more leadership roles. Not so much at my current job, but when I get a new employer. And I'm hoping a lot of these lessons I learned here will be able to help me in that aspect. Then finally, once again, I wanted to say I enjoyed this class thoroughly, and I appreciate everybody's time this morning. And I wish all of you the best of luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you.